The Beast of Tuksa, written by Trent Kanuga and Elizabeth Moon.
Chapter 7, Swirling Vortex. The maze twisted and turned continuously for hours with no end in sight. Whenever Olaf wasn't looking, I'd sneak a peek at the map in the old wizard's book. It was pretty easy since Olaf insisted on being out front. It stinks bad that way. Let's turn here, I'd say. That was my covert maneuvering tactic. Olaf and Bartol trusted me since they lacked my keen senses. Olaf wiggled his nose and decided he agreed nonetheless. Well, I don't think it's too nasty, but I think you're right. Yeah, we better head this way. It made him feel like it was his decision. The corridors of the maze were wide enough for the three of us to walk side by side, but in many places the overgrowth was so thick that we had to squeeze through single file. A few spots were so thick with bush that we had to wait hours while Olaf cleared the way with his machete. As we pressed on through the maze, we came across skeletal remains. Had they been unfortunate lost travelers, or those who wandered too far, or maybe the bones of hunting parties who came looking for their loved ones? Olaf searched for distinguishable markings, anything to help him find their identity, but their stories remained lost with them there. By nightfall, I began to notice that the map in the book had begun to fade. No, I muttered. What? Oops, he heard that. Nothing, it's nothing. Do you need to take another leak? No, I'm good. Olaf stopped in his tracks and looked over his shoulder at me with a strange suspicion. Weird question, though. Is everything all right back there? Yeah, I think I gotta go. You think you gotta go? Well, I guess we can take a break for now. Go do your thing. I ran back several paces into the fog, ducked behind a large bush that was growing out of the maze wall, sank into the ground, and checked that I couldn't be seen. Yanking the book out and flipping through the pages, I could see that sure enough, the map was gone. The pages were replaced by the single triangle and nothing else. What happened? In answer, the word ask slowly scrawled itself onto the page. Ask again? I clenched my jaws and strangled the book hard in my hands in frustration. Okay, where did the map go? I demanded, but the book had no more to say. I started digging around the dirt until I found another worm and placed it on the page. But nothing, no response. Come on, work already. I smushed the worm across the page, but it wouldn't receive it. I swung the worm around and rubbed it all over the triangle symbol and back into the center, but the book did nothing. You all right back there? Did you break it off or something? He's getting impatient with me, I thought. Be right there. I slammed the book shut and tucked it back into my satchel. No time for this stupid book. Without a map, we're traveling blind. The sun had already slipped from view and dusk had set in. Olaf lit a torch to light our way. But even so, the darkness and the thick fog made it difficult to keep our bearings. It started to seem like we'd been walking in circles. Was that the same old well that we'd walked by only an hour before? Was that the same corpse we'd already seen? Olaf held his torch higher, but it was of no use. Can't see a damn thing. Does your nose tell you nothing, boy? You've been awfully quiet ever since your pee break. Huh? What? Do I have to do everything around here? And just as I'm awkwardly fumbling for an excuse, we were startled by a thunderous roar vibrating everything around us from deep within the maze. Every little living thing around scattered in all directions while we froze in our tracks. The horrid sound even seemed to frighten the insects. Bartol growled, and we stared at each other, trying to figure out our next plan of action. Something else deep in the maze shrieked and squealed for its life. Whatever that was, it came to a sudden stop, then silence. Bartol stiffened with his tail tucked. He paced in small circles, and a low growl rolled in his throat. His eyes were fixed upon a dark shape in the fog up ahead. It could have been mistaken for a large boulder if not for its movement. Whatever it was alive, and it was looking straight at us. The creature started walking towards us slowly, deliberately, almost elegantly. We could make out the hard curves of its shoulders and the shape of its head, bobbing with each step. As it came closer, we could hear it breathing, a deep, raspy sound that echoed through the air and into our bones. Now it was close enough for the light of Olaf's torch to reach it. Its eyes reflected the light back like two bright orange coals. It let out a fierce, heavy growl, and Olaf instinctively thrust his long torch out in front of him. Instead of frightening it, the beast stepped right into the light. Scars and fresh blood covered its lips and jaws. Its mouth was filled with jagged teeth. One massive fang hung from the right side of its upper jaw, dripping black liquid. On the left side, where its twin should have been, was only an empty socket. Blue light glowed from a triangular symbol on its forehead. Crap, that's the same symbol from the wizard's book, I thought. The creature began to circle us. Its body was covered in thick, dark fur. Its dense muscles shifted and rippled with each movement, Large, sharp claws jutted out from its massive paws the size of Olaf's torso. In place of a tail, it had 6 twisting tendrils which rose up and stirred in the fog into a vortex. To say it looked like Bartol was to compare a tiger to a mouse. Olaf instinctively stepped back, swinging his arm out to motion for me to get behind him. With torch in one hand and machete in the other, he planted his feet firmly into the mud to make his stand. I could hear the rapid beating of both Bartol's and Olaf's hearts in contrast to the calm, low murmur of the beasts. All other creatures now far gone, we faced this thing alone. Time seemed to slow to a crawl, and the creature's raspy breathing wet and thick rumbled excitedly. Tightening his grip, Olaf slashed at the beast several feet away as a warning. Olaf tells me to get ready to run. He tells me to get Barty and haul ass. Don't look back. I do none of those things, and instead I snatch a stick off the ground and try to push past Olaf. For some reason I've got it in my head that I can take this thing down and save the whole damn village of Tuksa. Damn it, Mao! Olaf yells as he slams his staff into the ground at his side and grabs me by the collar. Do as I say! He flung me behind him and grabbed his staff once more. The beast was unfazed and continued to circle. Steady. Even hunched over, the beast towered over all of us in height. It was only a few steps within striking distance. Steady, Olaf repeated and swallowed hard. The beast snapped its jaws hungrily, loud as a firecracker. Olaf's hands were shaking. He opened his mouth but forgot how to speak as the words got stuck in his throat. The beast opened its jaws wide. The sight of all of those monstrous teeth jolted Olaf as he cried out, "Now!" Whipping around, the 3 of us ran as fast as our feet would take us.